Welcome back. We return with these visuals coming in from Kazakhstan. Passenger plane has crashed near Aktau airport in Kazakhstan. The plane belonged to the Azerbaijan Airlines, and in the latest we're also learning that 72 people were on board. Those are visuals of the same that we've accessed on your screens. Moments of plane crash that's been caught on the cameras. Passenger plane crash near Aktau airport in Kazakhstan is the latest bit of news coming in, with 72 people on board. I want to go across to Anvit joining us with more details. Anvit, what more do we know? 72 people on board. What's the latest?
We are not sure as of what the conditions of passengers on board is. What we are being told is that it's a crash that has happened in near Aktau in Kazakhstan, and it was an Azerbaijan Airlines Embraer 190 that had declared emergency on route over the Caspian Sea. It was flying. It was in touch with the air traffic control, and it said generic speed and altitude data is what the initial information that is coming in, and appears to have crashed near the shore while attempting to land. So this is the information that we have right now. It was an emergency landing was being made. The ATC had been informed that the plane, there was some issue with the flying when the plane was over the Caspian Sea. In fact, what we have been told is that some data that has been so far collected shows that there was an erratic speed of the aircraft that was reported initially by the pilots to the air traffic control, and following that, making a landing, it was some mishap happened. We are yet to get the more clear details on this. It was during the landing that the plane has crashed. That's initial report that we are getting. 72 people, we are being told, were on board, but what are the condition of people, whether or not there are any survivors, or of how severe the crash was, whether it was a crash landing or the aircraft has completely crashed, is yet to know.
Okay, and very important to find out right now whether or not there are any survivors, what's the latest ground situation. But let me quickly bring in Siddhant into the conversation as well. Siddhant, there are Russian media reports that state that before the crash, the aircraft circled over Aktau airport, requested an emergency landing, and Anvit was also telling us that the crash actually took place when the aircraft was attempting to land. What more do we know about why the aircraft was wanting to make an emergency landing?
Well, that's right. It was an Embraer E190AR. Perhaps looks like an old plane. And we have also been told that the plane was originally scheduled to land in Gondry, but was redirected to Makashkala and then to Aktau, according to the Gondry Airport press office. Now, before the crash, the aircraft encircled over the Aktau airport and requested an emergency landing. Now, what led to this request being made by pilots for the emergency landing is perhaps something which we would get to know from the last conversation between the ATC and the cockpit. But right now, through reports, we could confirm this for our viewers that there was a request for an emergency landing before this crash, and the plane was redirected to the other airport first, and then to Aktau airport, which it was originally scheduled to land in Grozny. So there are some very sketchy details that we are getting to know at this point in time, but it looks like a very serious tragedy taking place in Kazakhstan, because the plane carried 67 passengers and 5 crew members. Reports also indicate that there are survivors. Kazakhstan's Ministry of Emergency Situations confirmed that a fire broke out immediately after the crash, and this was a passenger plane with total 72 people on board. So we are still trying to get more details, perhaps a clear picture for our viewers, that why did the request for an emergency landing was made, why the plane was diverted from one airport to the other airport within a span of 30 minutes, why the plane couldn't land at the original scheduled destination. So these are some pertinent questions which perhaps we are trying to find answer from the authorities in Kazakhstan. But a very unfortunate incident has taken place where the 72 people on board. This was an old Embraer E190AR aircraft. it's not a new aircraft, because in the recent the two of the incidents which took place, one in Nepal, also including one in Nepal, we saw that the planes were pretty old and they were not well maintained. Perhaps that were the findings which came out after the crash. So it would really be interesting to see that when this plane was commissioned, and how old it was, which company was maintaining it, and whether there was an issue related to the maintenance, or perhaps was it some kind of a confusion between the ATC and the cockpit, because reports tell us that twice the airport of this plane was changed. So why this was done on the last moment? Why the request for the
Absolutely. In fact, Siddhant, stay on with us. We also have Anvit Srivastav, who is also giving us information about this tragic plane crash that happened near Kazakhstan's Aktau. Anvit, we are also learning that this plane made several circles over the the particular airport before crash landing. What are you learning about that? And unfortunately so, is it safe to assume now that all the 72 on board have in fact lost their lives? A very, very tragic news.
The confirmation on death is officially yet to be made, but yes, there's no doubt in that the aircraft, could possibly have some technical snag. Also, it is to be investigated further that whether what exactly the issue was. Like Siddharth also mentioned, there could be technical snag. There could be the problem with the issue with the fuel, because the plane had, it has crashed while making the landing. So it could be on the approach part to the runway that the plane has crashed. So that will also be seen, whether the communication with the ATC was lost in the last moment or the communication was constant, and it could be a mistake on the part of the pilot or the ATC controller, as we have seen in the past. So a lot of things to be investigated so far. Aircraft Accident Investigation Board certainly will look into all these details. Also, after the black box is recovered, we'll know more details as to what was the last moment communication between the ATC and the pilot and the second in command. So these details are yet to come out, but yes, condition of the passengers is something that is a priority right now. All the emergency vehicles and the rescue vehicles have been rushed to the spot. Police and the local ambulances and paramedics have been rushed. They are focusing on rescue right now. The teams are at the spot. It is to be certain whether or not all 72 who were on board have survived, or there will be casualties and there will be death.
Yes.
So the exact number is yet to come out, but certainly right now, the focus of the authorities there is to rescue the passengers and to find out how many have survived and how many need emergency medical evacuation.
Right. And Siddhant, if I asked you about the fact that Kazakhstan's emergencies ministry is the one that had in fact put out this information, a tragic piece of information that was also cited by Russian news agencies. We believe that this particular plane, which is Azerbaijan Airlines, it was en route from Baku in Azerbaijan to Grozny in Russia's Chechnya. More details about that as well, please, Siddhant.
This plane took off from Baku and was supposed to land in Grozny in Russia. In fact, I was going through some of the details of this Embraer aircraft. It doesn't look like it was a new aircraft. It looks like it's an old 19th century engine and design. And as I was previously mentioning this, that there is a increasing trend, if we see that especially in the Central Asian countries and also in the Indian neighborhood, most of these airlines buy old aircrafts, and those aircrafts are not well maintained. Many of these countries also don't have proper MRO facilities. And that perhaps results in crash and the air accidents that we have been reporting in last 6 months, including the recent case of air crash in Nepal, if you remember. In fact, in the investigation, it was found that the plane was not well maintained. So, not getting into the technical aspect, as Anvit rightly pointed out, right now the priority is the rescue operations that the authorities are carrying out. In fact, the teams have been pressed into the site, and as I said before, the reason for the request of emergency landing, the twice the airport getting changed, perhaps will only be known once that black box conversation would be put forth before the commission, which will investigate this matter, because it looks there's a lot of suspicion and there's a lot